Alright guys, here are some tips on the window to the soul. Here is my finished project. I'll show you how I went from this, with just my picture of me with the frame, to the final image, making it all spooky. Now as you can see with my original picture, I knew going into this I wanted to put something scary behind me. That's why I made it look like I was crawling out of the frame. So you really got to keep in mind, what does your picture look like and what is your end result going to be? So here's what I did. First thing I did was add my picture into a Photoshop file. We all know how to do that. We could just open it if it was saved, or we could create new and copy paste. If you need help, feel free to ask. Next thing we need to do is we need to delete or erase everything inside of the frame. So a couple things that you could do to do that. You could just use the regular eraser, or you could try the magic eraser. If I magic eraser and I click, it might get rid of it. Ooh, but I noticed it got rid of some of my face right there. If we zoom in, we can see it. So I definitely wouldn't want to do that. Remember, Control Z is undo. Maybe it'll work in other areas. Ooh, it does work in other areas though. So yeah, I can clean up around the hair, that'll work. I'll just magic eraser in other spots, and then in this one, I'll have to go back and use just a regular eraser. Now, right now my opacity is all wrong. There we go, back to 100%. That gets rid of everything at once. My size is really big. Another trick with getting rid of sizes, instead of going up to the top, I could just right click with my mouse and it pops up really easy. Let's make it a lot smaller, like that. Now I would go through and I take my time and delete out everything. You really want to take your time, make it look good, get right up next to stuff. I really recommend zoom in. Now you might have noticed I didn't go over to zoom on the side there. All I gotta do is spin the little wheel on my mouse and it will zoom in and out for me. Remember, if for some reason you sneeze, you bump, and you go, achoo, oh no, I mess up, you could go edit, undo, or you could just Control Z and that undoes it for you. I really like the Control Z hack. It's a lot easier than having to go up to the file. So you take your time and you would delete out everything. I'd have to come in here, I'd have to clean up over there, I'd have to clean up down there. I would take my time, I would clean everything out. Let's pretend that I took my time and I did all of it. Let's just do a really quick job here. This is just a tutorial. I don't have to make it look perfect. Yeah, all right. So now you need to add your picture in the background. So what I did was I went online. Here, let's go. I got a random thing open here. So I think I just went spooky scene. Yep, there it is. And I just found an image online because I wanted to go for creepy. I went with a scene like this. So what I did, actually, is there a better version of that? Oh, that one's got a zipper. That's weird. Let's see if I can find the original. Ah, there we go. That one doesn't have anything around it. I just right click, copy image, back into Photoshop. So I add a layer. See, it's added on top. I edit and paste. Remember to highlight, Control or T. Now remember, you always want to pull from the corners, never from the side or from the top. That distorts the image. I want to pull from the corner. I want to make it nice and big. But next thing I notice is my frame is sideways, but my picture is straight up and down. So I'm going to take my cursor till it gets to the edge, and I can turn it. Now I also really like the tombstones, but that's going to be covered by my head. So I'm going to flip this whole image. So what I do is if I go up to, where's it at? Oh, I can just right click on it, and I can flip horizontal. That flips it horizontally for me. Now I got to readjust. There we go, my angle. But now it's with the tombstones on the side and the angle to actually fit inside the frame. Next thing I want to do is I want to put this layer behind the one I did before. So I'll go over here and I'll move it behind. There we go, we see how it drags and drops. But I noticed there are some little pieces here that didn't get filled because the picture I added was side to side instead of vertical. Simple thing that I did for that, let me just hide this layer to make it easier, was I took the marquee tool, I drew a little rectangle, and then I came up to edit, copy, click off of it, and then edit, paste. Now it's attached to the end. Control T to highlight it, And we see how I can just kind of move something around and fill that space. I know that looks really weird, but if I put that back on top, we see I can kind of get hidden a little. Let's see, if I take my eraser, I can kind of clean this up and get it to actually fill that space a bit nicer. Oops, too far. Control Z, undo. Skip there. Now I might just, I could smudge my edges and try to get them to blur together a bit. That tends to look a little awkward if you ask me. I think instead I will burn them. So where there's dodge or burn, burn makes things darker. So if I come in here and just make this darker a bit, it'll blend in. My plan is to put some fog over all this later, so I'm not too worried about making that super perfect because I'm going to be covering it up. If you weren't covering up, you might want to make sure you had a picture that filled the space better. Alright, next, if we think back to my finished piece, I put in a zombie hand, and then I put in some fog. Let me show you what I did for the zombie hand. So from that, let's see, we went online, and I think I put, maybe it was zombie grabbing arm. Let's see if I can find it there. Images. Where is it? Aha! There it was. Creepy hands. So I just right click, copy image, back to Photoshop, add a layer. This one I want to move to the top. I'm going to edit, paste, Control T. Let's move things around. Now I think I'm just going to use this one hand there, but it's facing the wrong way. So just like before, I'm going to right click, flip horizontal, there we go. Now I need to make it so it can actually see my arm, see where I'm putting it. So what I'll do is I'll come over here, make sure the layer is highlighted, and I'll change my opacity, make it a little see-through. There we go. Now I can move it around and see where things are actually at. I think I need to turn it a bit more still. And I think I want to make it a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to make it look like the fingers are actually fully on my shoulder and not anywhere else. Here we go. I like my spot for it, so I'll take my opacity back up. First thing I want to do is get rid of the background, get rid of this other hand. So just like before, let's get it on kind of, there we go. I'm going to take my eraser, I'll do magic eraser, click the background, it's gone. I think it'll let me delete this. Oof, no, that doesn't work so well. So I need to just regular eraser and just erase this hand. Now, I also want to make sure it looks like the hand's inside the frame. So I have two options with this. I can either put the layer behind the picture, so that puts it behind the frame, but now the fingers are in front. And then I'll have to delete some of my shoulder there to make it look like the layers, or I can do it the other way. Oops. So here's what I did. I think I'm going to leave it on top. So what I'll do is I'll take my time, I'll zoom in here, and I'll delete it nicely along the edge. I would take my time, make sure it's a lot straighter. You can see I still have some issues from before. Then I'm going to delete the part of the hand that be behind my shoulder. And change my size. All right. I'm just going to do this real fast. Again, it's just a tutorial. I already have my finished piece. Oops, too far. So a trick to make sure you don't go too far. Again, remember, come back to the picture, opacity, and bring that opacity down. There we go. Now I can see through. It's the exact same process like we did on Adobe Sketch when we were layering things up. Right, I want this finger on top as well. Well, I'll just leave that. Make it show through. I just deleted the wrong area. Oh no, edit, undo. There we go. I need to delete my shoulder. There we go. Oops, but I did too far. Gosh, I need to pay attention. Okay, so I just want these fingers in front. This is why you take your time and you don't try to rush through things. I'd make my size smaller and get in there a bit closer. Again, it's just my quick tutorial, so I'm not going to take the time, but you would, because you're getting graded. You want it to look nice. All right, now I just bring my opacity back up. Now it looks like it's on my body. Now obviously, again, if this is my real project, I would go through and I'd smooth out these edges. The magic eraser gets rid of a lot of the stuff, but it leaves these really wonky edges, so I'd recommend zooming in close, cleaning that up. Now another thing I notice is there's a little bit of a watermark from the original picture right here on the finger. And I want to get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in closer. I'm going to pick up the eyedropper tool. I'm going to pick a color right next to the white. I'm going to use the paintbrush and I'm going to fill it in. Now I recommend with mine to keep it kind of splotchy because it's zombie skin, so I don't want to fill it in like a perfect little square, but I want to fill it in a bit. I might then pick up another color. That one's dark nearby. Go back to paintbrush and fill in some other ones, making it look as close as I can. Take my time with it. Again, this is just my practice. Right now it kind of looks spotted. I would work that a lot more to make that look a lot better, but you understand my process there. Alright, last thing I did was put in the fog. So if we look back to this one, it's got this creepy fog on it. Here is what I did. So if we go back to the internet, let's search for some fog. Oops, all at the top. Oop, might help if I can spell. Holy moly. Fog. Nice. Now I want some really wispy fog. Ooh, like this one. I like it. Right click, copy image, back to Photoshop. Add a layer. Edit. Paste. Okay, Control T. Make it bigger. Now this one, I don't care if I distort it because it's just fog. Alright. Now, I want my fog to go through the image and around my arms. Let's make it a little bit less opaque so we can actually see where it's going. There we go. Let's decide. I think I angled it a little much. I want the fog to show through behind my arm, and I want a little bit, oops, what is happening there? Stay highlighted, there we go. I want to have a little bit coming up by my face. Let's go there. All right, now I would start off, bring my opacity back up. Actually, you know what, I'll leave it down. I want to erase around where the frame is. I know my obvious edges. So eraser, let's make the size bigger, even bigger. All right. Again, I'm doing it fast because it's just a tutorial, but I'm going to erase all my extra, blah, 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 erase on the frame itself. Again, take my time for the real thing, just a tutorial. Erase the frame and extra. I want to erase my fingers in here because those would be regular. I want the fog to look like it's inside the frame, not on me. I also know I want this hand to be seen perfectly because it's coming out. So I'm erasing all that. And I know this part of the arm I want to start to see the fog a bit, so I'll wait. I do want the hand to be seen a bit more though, so I'm going to do some bright spots there. Now, before I erase any more, because I know I don't want this part covering me up, I want it to slowly fade into the fog so it looks like it's blending in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to opacity. So this is on the eraser tool right now. So I'm changing the opacity of the eraser. I'm also going to change the flow, so that's how hard it is. So as I erase, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. It just erases a little bit at a time. So at the top, I'm going to erase a lot. And as it gets farther down, I'm going to erase less and less. So it's going to blend in for me. So you see how it's slowly kind of fading there. I might go even bigger around my face, so it really fades it out. I might get a bit more on the hand, make sure my forehead doesn't have a line on it. Now the more you click when you have your opacity or your flow down, the more it slowly starts to erase. Now I would take my time, I would do this nicely. Maybe I just erase a little bit at a time, putting my opacity down lower, my size a bit bigger. I'm also going to do the same thing down here on the arm. So I'll erase a lot on the edge and then slowly fade out as it gets farther and farther back. It takes some time to do this nicely. I can't do it quickly or else it's just not going to work well. But you can kind of see my process of erasing little bits at a time to get it to fade. Here's how I did the final one. You can see it's a lot smoother. I went a lot slower with it. Oops. I made it look really nice and smooth.